visiting Mind Vomit by Gabe. Today, we're going to take this design and do a really quick sketch and load it into Adobe Illustrator, ink it, and fully color it. As always, like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. It really helps me out, helps me keep bringing content to you guys. Also, this is a sticker from my Etsy store. If you didn't know I had an Etsy store, I'll put a link in the description below. Okay, excuse this shadow that I have above the paper right here. And if this thing wobbles a little bit, excuse that too, because I don't have high-speed, low-drag camera equipment. I have my cell phone, and right now I have a clamp attached to my monitor holding my phone. So this is very low-cost filming. So excuse the quality here a little bit. What I'm going to draw today is a character I've drawn for a very long time. It's become second nature kind of drawing him. It's a cartoon-style character. I'm going to put him in Illustrator and color him and everything. And I'm going to do it the way I do it. I'm not a professional graphic designer. I just fumble my way through and figure it out. But I figured I'd show you guys my process. And so I'm just going to do a really quick sketch. I'm not worried about details in this because the reason I love Adobe Illustrator is because I can draw in Illustrator, and if I don't like a stroke, I can change it. So I'm just going to lay out a real quick sketch. I don't really care if it's perfect or not. I'm just trying to figure out some lines. And a lot of artists do like where they do like a quick scribble like this or a quick line like that. And it's probably the right way to do it, but I don't do it that way. I just kind of scribble and go because I sometimes see a line or something that I might see a scribble or something that I actually like better. So I will tend to scribble a lot because you never know. You might have a line that pops up that you actually like better than the one you're currently doing. So I don't know if you can see the basic character here. Basically, what I did was I just laid down a bunch of lines that I understand. So, I don't quite like this a lot. It's not exactly what I was looking for. Let's see, let's try this one more time. So, we'll just sketch this out. You know what? I'm not even going to draw the head this time. I'm just going to sketch this out real quick, see what I like, what I don't. Sometimes I find that just flying through like this actually it's actually kind of more freeing. I kind of like flying, scribbling, just fly by the seat of your pants kind of thing. To me, it just seems more freeing. It allows me to express things a little more, I guess. So that cheekbone's a little too low. Let's bring that in. This one I'm actually liking a little better, which right now it looks like a whole lot of scribbles that don't look like much, but actually I'm liking the overall shape a lot better. I can actually work with this a little better. So, and to be honest, I probably should have warmed up for about an hour or a half hour before doing this, but I didn't. I just jumped in and went. They say that, kind of warm up for half hour, 45 minutes. At least that's what I've heard. I'm actually kind of liking this. I like that I just kind of jumped into it and went with it because this has more of this. I like the fact that this is more slanted in. His nose is more pushed down like this. I like the fatter lip kind of thing, and so you can basically see it's basically the workings of a skull. You have like a strong cheekbone here, sunken in here, his jaw is sunken in. I'll probably make this one into like a devil with like little horns on his head or whatever, but that's pretty much the character. So what I do is I just do a quick sketch like this, and then I scan it. I'm going to be putting it in my scanner here. I lay it on my scanner bed, scan it into the computer, create a layer in Illustrator with this on it, and then I start drawing above. But we will continue that here in a little bit when I go to Illustrator. Okay. What I've done here is I have taken the sketch that we drew earlier and I put it in my scanner and I scan it in the computer and I open this file in Adobe Illustrator. Now what I'm going to do is go to File, New, and I just created an 8.5 by 11 because that's basically what I sketched this on. So 8.5 by 11. Also, you're going to be drawing this in Adobe Illustrator, so it's a vector, which means that you can scale it larger or smaller, and it won't cause any distortion in your artwork. So I got the new file open. all I do is go back to this drawing, click on it, hold down Alt, and drag it up into this other window where the new file is, and then drop it. So let off Alt and unclick, and then just align this wherever you want. So this is what you're going to draw off of, and then you come over to the Layers panel here, in this little empty box next to the eye, next to the eyeball. You click it, and that'll lock that layer. Then what you want to do is come over here to these three little horizontal lines in the layer area. Click on that, click New Layer. Now I like to label everything with capital letters. I went to school for engineering, drafting, design. I'm going to use capital letters for all of our drafting stuff. So I just kind of carry that over. So I'm just going to label this black lines. So that would be your layer that you're going to draw on, and you have it unlocked while this one is still locked. Now, I'm going to close out this window because I already set up another one already. So I have this one set up for me. I'm using a Wacom tablet to draw with. I'm going to be using the Blob Brush, which is up over here. If you hold this, if you click and you hold this down, you will see the paintbrush tool, and underneath it you see Blob Brush. The Blob Brush looks like a brush with like a little square integrated into it, so I use that. I also open a different paintbrush. So I go to my brushes palette, I click the three lines to the right, I go to Open Brush Library, go to Artistic, and then Artistic Calligraphic. And in here is what looks like a little oval. It says 10, well, I made it a 10 point. There's a little oval here. I click it, drag it into the brushes palette, then I usually edit it. So I make it like, I go in here, I make the size 10 points. I make it says random here. I click it to pressure, the variation, I max out at 10 points. So this means that I just turn this brush into a pressure brush to use my Wacom tablet. So the lighter I press, the thinner the line will be. The heavier I press, the harder the line will be. So anywhere between 0 points to 10 points is how big this brush is going to be, depending on how much pressure you put into it. So drag that up into your brushes palette, change the settings, and you'll have the brush I'm using. Also, I set up this invisible brush right here. If you don't know how to make this, I made a video on it, on how to make it, add it into Adobe Illustrator. And I saved all my settings. I just go up here to Window, Workspace, and create new workspace. I change it to, if you put new workspace, you put your name in there, hit OK. It'll save your workspace and all your brushes that you have here. But anyway, so basically I think that's it. I think that's all I really need to tell you. We have the calligraphic brush set up. I have my invisible brush set up just in case I need it. Okay, let's get started drawing this guy out, or inking him. Right now I'm using the scroll wheel on my mouse, and I'm holding Control down. If I hold Control down, it scrolls left and right. If you hold Alt down while scrolling, it goes in and out, zoom in and out. And of course, up and down is up and down. But anyway, I'll grab my calligraphic brush over here. I'll go to my Blob Brush, set the stroke for black, which is already set. The fill, I have no fill. And now I'm going to go in here and start just inking this guy. Also, I set up on my Wacom pen for my tablet. There's a button on the pen. I set that for Control-Z. So Control-Z undoes what you did. So if I draw this line here and I hit Control-Z, it undoes it. So it makes it a little easier to undo. If you don't like a stroke, you just change it real quick. So let's get started on this guy, see if I can start working this out a little bit. There are two reasons why I use the Blob Brush. And the first reason is because I feel like using the blob brush by hand makes it look like someone actually hand drew it. I will show you, if you don't have a Wacom tablet, how to do this by hand with a mouse. And it comes up with a very clean, crisp looking design. But the reason I use the blob brush, number one, is because I like the way that it looks like it's actually hand drawn. Another reason is when blob brush strokes touch each other, they become one. So I want to show you right now the beauty here. If I go and I color in this eye, this all becomes one. So what I can do is I can click on this, I can select it, and it all moves as one piece. So that eye moves as one. So when you're all done with this, every single line you draw, you can move as all one piece. That's part of the reason why I like it. That'd be the second reason. Okay, for those of you following along who do not have a Wacom tablet, you can still use your mouse. You can go up here, choose the pen tool, click a point, add another point, but we want that curved. So what I'm doing is I'm holding down the left mouse button. Right now I haven't let off, and I'm dragging it out like this, and you see these little handles. Okay? And then you will click the point you just created, draw another line, hold it, drag out the line you want, click the point you just created, click a new point, hold it, drag out the curve you want. Okay? When you're done, you can come back over here, or you can hit escape actually. Escape will get you out. But what I do is you can then adjust it from here. You can come up here to this selection tool. Did I choose the right one? No. So I just hit escape to escape out of the pen tool to stop it. I can come up here to the direct selection tool, and I can click on one of these points. And you see it has these handles, right? And I can adjust it however I want, like this. Make sure that I like it. Now this one has a dual handle. You see this? You got one handle here, you have another one here. To manipulate only one handle at a time, hold down Alt, click the handle you want to manipulate, and it will only manipulate that one. See how this one stayed exactly where it was at? Now, you say this stroke, now you may say this stroke is way too thin. I don't like this because it's just too thin, you can't see it. If you come over here to stroke, you can increase it by points. So that's 1 point, 2 points, 3 points, 4 points. The reason I went so high on 4 points is because I'm going to come right down here to profile, click on this, and try different profiles. Like let's say I want it to start real thin on one end and thick on the other. But maybe I don't like that it's thicker here. Maybe I want it thicker up over here. You can reverse it right here. See these little triangles, the one that's white and one that's dark? Flip it. There you go. Let's say it's not thick enough. Just increase the stroke. You're going to increase it thicker if you like. Reduce it down. Here's another stroke that's sometimes fun to work with, is the dual thickness stroke, which I sometimes use. That also changes the thickness a little bit. You also have this one here. Which if you want to flip it, use this vertical flip across here, and you can flip it in and out that way. So even if you don't have a Wacom tablet, you can use the pen tool and still create these lines. So these two objects are not, I can grab them and move them. So if I go and click on this, oh, I moved it. What do I do? Sometimes that happens. You'll accidentally bump it, you'll move it, and it messes up your drawing and you may not know what to do. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to select them. I'm going to hold down Control and hit 2. and that locks them in this layer. It doesn't lock the layer. The only way you can lock the layer is by clicking the little padlock over here. To unlock them, you would go up to Object, Unlock All. Now they're unlocked. You can manipulate them how you want. But for now, I don't want to be drawing and accidentally select one and change it or move it. So I'm going to select them, hit Control-2, and now it's locked. All right, let's continue on drawing here. Now I'm going to show you the secret to make all this stuff blend together better. We're going to use what I call the invisible brush. So I'm going to use this invisible brush. I'm going to flip the stroke to the fill. So I just click this little double arrow up here. Now it's on fill. We're going to use this to shade the darkest areas, but also if we have mistakes, things we don't like, we can also use this to cover it up a little bit too and clean it up a little bit. So let's go in here and start doing some shading on this stuff. So I wanted to create these highlights here and these eyes. And I switched from invisible brush to just using shapes. So what I did was, see here the stroke is black. I'll reverse it to fill. So this is fill. Take the color, make it white. Go up here to the ellipse tool and you draw the ellipse. Now, not where I want it. So I'm going to hold the space bar. And with the space bar, I can drag it wherever I want. So I drag it here, let go of space bar and the left mouse button. Now, what I did was I used the selection tool. I held down Alt. See the double arrows there, the black and the white one? Hold down Alt, grabbed this oval, dragged it down. Then I resized it. So I grabbed this corner here, held down shift, because when you hold shift, it keeps all the same dimensions, but it shrinks it. So I'm holding shift, I'm dragging it in to make it smaller, and now I just use that arrow again. Oops, keep turning on me. I don't want it to turn. I want plain arrow. Here we go. So I'll get the plain arrow to drag it where I want it. If it stops rotating on me, that'd be great, wouldn't it? And then I click there. So I basically made one circle, copied it, shrunk it down to the size I want, placed it where I wanted. Now, I'm gonna highlight it, hit Control-2 to lock it, and then I'll just create one more over here instead of dragging another one over here. Make a nice little smaller one here. Where's my arrow? There it is. Just to give another little highlight in this eyeball. See how it looks here real quick. Whatever, that'll work. So lock it all down. It's all locked. Now I want to start coloring this, right? So I pretty much have things shaded kind of the way I wanted them. You saw I went through and shaded things. I made things look the way I wanted. I added in little details that I wanted. This is him totally inked in pretty much. Now we're going to color him. So I'm going to lock this layer. See how I came over here and locked this lock. And I also want to turn off the drawing layer underneath because I really don't want to see that stuff anymore. So if I click the eyeball here, it's gone. This is all I have to work with. So what I'm going to use is the Blob Brush again, because the Blob Brush, I just really like using it to fill in stuff. Actually, I'm going to turn the background layer back on, and the reason being is because see how this isn't exactly white? So since it's not white, you'll actually be able to see what colors I'm painting a lot easier. So I'm just going to leave the background layer visible so you guys can see that. Now what I want to do is I want to paint underneath this ink layer, but on top of my original drawing. So I'm going to create a new layer, and we're going to put color, right? So here's color layer. And I'm going to grab this layer and move it right down between layer 1 and layer 2. Boom. Oh, I never named this layer, did I? We'll just name it ink layer. And we'll name this one drawing. I realize I labeled it when I was showing you guys how to do it, but I never did it in my own drawing. So, oops. All right, so we want to work on the color layer. So select the color layer. This is the layer we're going to work on. Make sure that your drawing layer is locked. Make sure that your inking layer is locked. And we're going to go ahead and start coloring this. So there's something to note here. This little circle here with like a square in front of it says drawing modes. If you click on it, we're going to draw normal, which means that you're going to paint something or draw something, you're drawing it normal. I guess that's the best way to describe it. Draw behind means that everything you paint or draw is going to go behind whatever you've painted or drawn beforehand. And we're going to use this because I'm going to start off by doing all the white. So I'm going to do the horns, the eyes, and the teeth all in white. But I want the red of his skin to be behind that white, right? So I'm going to draw behind. So let's see how this works. So here's draw behind. I'm clicking draw behind here. I'm grabbing my Blob Brush. It's already set to white for the fill. So I'm going to go in here and start coloring this stuff. You might see that, look at my icon here. It's got an X. That doesn't look normal, does it? Just to tell you what that is, turn your caps lock off. And now it's back to normal brush. So we're going to go in here and Blob Brush paint the whites of the eyes here. The reason I like Blob Brush is because, like I said, if a Blob Brush touches another Blob Brush stroke, it becomes all one. So right now, this whole white is becoming all one piece. And you're probably thinking, oh no, you just covered over the pupil of your eyeball. Well, not really. Watch this. When I let off, it went behind because we're coloring on the layer underneath the ink layer. So while it looks like you're coloring over things, you're actually not. It's going to fall right behind once you pick up your pen. And a color here. Now, for those of you who don't have a Wacom tablet, you've still got the pen tool, right? So we'll come up here to the pen tool. What we'll do is we'll just draw a real rough shape. I'm not going back and clicking on these because I really don't need to. You can just keep adding points in here. Let me zoom in so I can see where I'm going. You can just keep adding points in and then just make sure it's closed. Make sure the fill's white and then hit Control-2 and it's locked. There you go. You only add points. So when you're drawing with the pen tool and you draw a line and I go like this and I say that I'm gonna come back and click here, it's so that point stays where it's at if you're like making curves and stuff. So let's see. If I don't do that, I can draw straight lines all day long, right? Just like click, click, click. But sometimes if you want to do a curve, so you click here and you go out here, you can't do a curve because you're going to just add another straight line. So if you go back and click here and hold down your button, that allows you to do a curve. So if you just hold it, right, you do the curve, click on it again, curve, click back on it, curve, click back on it, curve. You get the point. So if you're doing straight lines and stuff, you don't have to worry about clicking back on that point. So that's what I did right here. I just did real straight lines. And just to show you this pen tool one more time, you can color in just like this. You're underneath the inking layer, so you can literally just color it like that, hit Control-2 and that locks it. But why do I like using, which seems really fast, right? It does seem super fast because, well, it is. Super fast to add color this way. I guess I just like using Blob Brush because I think it's fun painting. I guess if I had to be honest, is it a faster process? Not really, but I guess I just like seeing where the brush strokes go. Anyway, more fun, I guess. So we'll just finish this last horn with the pen. Click, click, click. I'm just clicking inside the ink part. Hit Control-2. It's all locked. All right. So we want his skin to be red. And don't worry, we're going to be adding more detail and shading later. But so where's my swatches? Swatches. So we're just going to pick a random. Let's just pick red, red. Should we pick red, red? Yeah, we'll pick red, red. We'll go red, red. And we'll use the Blob Brush. Again, oops, wrong button. Hit the Windows button instead of Alt. And usually what I do, I like to do a Blob Brush. So I like to go around the edge here. And remember, my drawing mode is set on draw behind. So if I draw over this white, it goes behind. So anyway, come in here. I always do go around the edges. And you got to be careful with Blob Brush. I know I like the pens faster, but you just saw, let me go back and show you. Just saw I missed this edge, right? With the pen tool, you wouldn't have done that. But you just come in with Blob Brush, done. You just got to make sure that you're paying attention if you're using Blob Brush. I do it just for fun. I could do it with the pen tool too, and it'd be much faster and all that great stuff. But you know what? It's just not as fun. So coming in here. Plus, it gives me practice using the pressure on the Wacom tablet because I need all the practice I can get. I don't use this every day, so come in, color all this in around the edges. See why it's fun. Oops, went on the lines. Hit Control-Z. Sometimes you hit the pressure though too hard like I did and you go out of the line. And down here I'm just gonna kind of just close this off, do some kind of random whatever. Actually, just gonna clean it up like this, that'll look better. All right, I think we're pretty much done. We got this lip to do, don't we? All right, so we went around the whole outline. Now we just got to fill it in. I'm going to crank my size up here to like 44. Sure. Make that match. Deep strokes, okay. Ooh, look at that. Might have made it too big. Anyway, let's drop in color quick. Ooh, gotta be careful, gotta be careful. Let's try be really light in here. And see this green outline? That's showing where your blob brush is. Or where the whole blob brush is, whatever. So like, see that outline? I missed right there. I missed right there. I missed a couple spots up here, so I'll just color that in. Ooh, so you can see that. That's like a miss, but it's under black. You can't really see it. So, you know, like, would anybody notice? No, but it makes me feel better when it's all one piece. I think I just went outside the line. Yep, I did. All right, light pressure on here. Sometimes I'm very heavy-handed with the Wacom tablet. Like on the Wacom settings, the pen pressure settings, I have it set at super firm because I press so hard sometimes. I'm a beast with the Wacom tablet, I guess. Ah, see that part right there? That means that there's a little part I missed. So we basically have this all colored in, right? Looks good? Yeah, he's very red. And that don't look right, does it? So let's start adding in highlights, shading, stuff like that. So we'll lock this layer, add a new layer. We'll just do like shadows and highlights. We'll just do it all in one. I don't feel like making more layers. So now what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that the shadows and the highlights layer is above the color layer. We locked the color layer. Now we're on the shadows highlights layer. Now everything you draw now is going to be on top of the color layer, but it's going to be below the ink layer. So I can probably show off this drawing too. So the drawing layer, I'm going to turn the eyeball off. Now you see my character in just the basic colors. So now I'm just gonna use Blob Brush. I want to choose various colors and highlights to try to bring some depth out in this character. And I'll probably speed it up a little bit, but you can follow along and watch. All right. So this video is getting longer than I expected it to be. I crammed a lot of information here that maybe shouldn't have been in here, but I'm gonna go ahead and time lapse this video, speed it up. You're gonna see me adding shadows with the blob brush with different with a darker maroon color. When I go in and add the highlights, I switch it to draw normal, so that puts the yellow highlights on top of the maroon. So that's the little thing I did to make the highlights pop out. But yeah, just sit back and watch and see the finished product. I actually wasn't that thrilled with it. I could have put more time into it, but I wanted to make the video a little smaller because it got very long. So
just sit back, follow along, and stay tuned for the bloopers at the end. Like, comment, and subscribe, and keep watching my channel for new stuff.
Uh-oh. Do a quick sketch in the sketchbook, load it into Adobe. Today, we're going to do a quick hand sketch, load it in Adobe Illustrator, ink it, and color it. And then what? We're just going to fuck around. This shit upside down. This is just one of the stickers that comes from my show. My show? What? This is just one of the vitamins.